And I think it's one step closer to living in a cool future versus like that sort of sterilized 1950s culture of the
Hmm.
good old days. As long as you were like this very narrow margin of the population, this narrow segment.
Well, if you were, like we were talking about earlier, if you were a nice person,
Yeah, if you were nice and everything was nice and
you had the right opinions, they weren't too extreme,
yeah, you
you
sort of
just got
suppressed,
along.
you covered up your true feelings and didn't engage in the beautiful art of free thought or art of the topless. Both of those are beautiful in my opinion. You should engage in both of them often.
You had no shemale mannequins in your house. It's a different era, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, it's ridiculous to have a mannequin, but if it's a lamp,
It's very fragile. But, you gotta treat it with kid gloves.
where do you put the bulb?
This is a multi-bulb model. How dare you?
We call this one the airtight.
Oh gosh.
Sir, on numerous occasions you watched Airtight number 25 over and over again.
Then we're not quite clear on the terminology here. ATM 17.
Explain yourself, sir.
Are you trying to break into ATMs? Wait, no, I'm not explaining this.
At that point, you're just like, yes, that's what I was trying to do.
Will that be an easier sentence? I'll do just that then. No problem.
So yeah, being dirty and filthy and all that good stuff. It's ironic that they call it dirty and filthy, isn't it? Because oftentimes it's quite the opposite. But whatever. I'm not gonna like try to change the language now.
Are
I'm
you
just
thinking
gonna.
of like anal bleaching?
I'm just saying, like, it's cool that whatever it is you want to do, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, like, it's far more accepted now, and and that was one of the things I can let my vulgar, dirty, filthy mind out and sort of be the person I am,
Hmm.
and not try to just be all stiff and tight and like, no pun intended.
This is rapidly deteriorating.
But like, and like, just sort of, sure, there's a lot of like, backwoodsy areas and shit where, there's still a lot of like harassment that goes on, but like I really do believe it's a much cooler world now, at least in like developed countries,
Yeah.
so that's awesome, I think.
Yeah, the more places in the world where you can manufacture and sell love dolls that are intersexed, the better off we are as a species.
I actually thought it would be interesting to have like a doll or a device, like a Sibian like device or something, or Venus fucking 2000, whatever. Like it's sort of like, I don't know, like it's not meant to look human, but it's also not just like an object. Like it's sort of almost like it's Android like, device like, sort of like you could have a fuck doll and it looks like a human being more or
Hmm.
less. But what if you had some sort of futuristic-y looking, like sort of silver coated, like chrome plated, or something, sort of flexible, sort of does everything, kind of like appliance. I think that would be an interesting invention.
Hmm.
It sort of has like multiple arms and multiple like crevices and
Clamp
like
hands.
multiple heads and yeah, clamp hands.
No dexterous fingers.
And whatever it is, I think that would be an interesting. Maybe I should get out into the
So,
lab and start putting this together.
so something that was purposefully not trying to be super duper like human looking, just something vaguely human looking.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. Like, maybe like start out with like a human form, but then start adding shit onto it. Sort of something for everyone kind of thing.
I see what you mean.
And I also like artificial looking things. Like I think I like the idea of like a torpedo shaped like dildo-y kind of thing in the sex toy department more than a penis looking thing. You know what I mean?
I think so. Yeah.
Like I think it's just more nice looking. Like if you were to set two sex toys down in front of me, like a big floppy cock, or like a futuristic looking chrome like gadget, I'd be like, ooh, a gadget! Like that's so cool. Like what do the buttons do, and like how do the gears work inside, and all this shit. Like I just think that sort of angle of it is really neat.
What if I also throw in a summer sausage into the mix?
Well, I mean, are there going to be like peppers and onions?
It's sealed. Don't worry. You can eat it when you're done.
You know,
you didn't think about that, did you?
Like the first thing I thought of was a sandwich because I'm getting hungry again. But I wasn't even thinking about like what else you could do with it. But and not that it matters, but I'm not gay as far as I know, and so like my appreciation for dildo-y objects is aesthetic, but whatever, like. I'm cool with talking about big floppy cocks, and
but very rarely turgid cocks.
I just think the idea of like something that looks like a spaceship or something is just cool. Just
an obelisk.
Ow. That would probably hurt.
I didn't suggest a self-administered obelisk.
Worst. Like that was like the first design and it didn't work out very well, and then they refined it. Sort of like the guy that might have invented the wheel, like started out with like a square or like a triangle, and then they figured it out like slowly.
Then we made monuments in that shape to recognize the greatness of the achievement and the failure.
Yeah. So, I don't know where I was going with this. Like, I just sort of, I'm sort of, along with being a scientician, I consider myself very artistic, and I sort of think there's a lot of wiggle room, no pun intended, for these various devices, which will probably all go into, get merged together with teledildonics, as mentioned in a previous episode, I think. And if you haven't heard of teledildonics, it's a very interesting field.
Call your stockbroker.
Call your congressman.
Yeah.
Tell your congressman you want teledildonics.
You want to see subsidies for teledildonics? No more crop insurance.
Yeah.
No more tanks. Just subsidies for teledildonics.
Well, maybe we could kill two birds with one stone here, and all those people growing corn that doesn't get used for anything, find a use for.
See, I thought you were going to go to the warfare direction. All these nations that we are at odds with, just parachute in teledildonics units, and their resistance will be lowered by making sweet love across the great distances.
I wonder if you could sort of fix up a lot of the problems in the more violent corners of the earth by, just they've tried it with like propaganda. I don't know the results of that. Maybe you do. Like, have you heard about how like armies have dropped like leaflets by the millions?
Oh yeah.
And like I've also heard rumors that the U.S. used to drop like oversized condoms to like demoralize the enemy. I don't know how true that is.
I don't know. I know there's a guy I went to high school with that got into a psyops unit when he joined the army, but I don't remember. I don't remember hearing any sort of weird techniques. All I know is they take it. It's not like just some like we created psyops just to look cool. Like they do it because it works.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what they do though. That's the only thing.
Well, I mean, assuming that they did those other things and it worked, we'd be stupid not to do it.
Right.
Instead of building like missile silos and shit, just throw together like a billion fuck units and just start dumping them in the war-torn regions.
Well, I mean, we're already using drones, and instead of people at their consoles flying drones around, it'll people be trained to operate teledildonics units and make sweet love to the enemy.
Well, there's like a special like a special like side unit, you know, like there's the Army Corps of Engineers, and there's like the airborne people, and you'd have this special corps that's all they're dedicated to. They're all their training. Like when you go to the recruiter, like that's one of the things they advertise along with the other ones. Like, you know, you can be like, you know, a paratrooper or a drone pilot or a fighter pilot, or you can go into these simulators and there'll be these dolls out in the Middle East or whatever, and you'll have to operate it.
It'll be classified, I guarantee you it'll be classified as anti-infantry. Because it would basically chase you down and force you to make love.
Well, I mean...
Yes.
I think that if you played your cards right, you could get a lot of people to just be like, hey, what's this?
That's true.
As long as we don't get like those creepy looking Uncanny Valley dolls. the Uncanny Valley is
I thought you were going that direction earlier, by the way, with the Chrome woman or whatever, Chrome android. I thought that you were going to talk about the Uncanny Valley before. So anyway,
well, it crossed my mind. Like for those of you that don't know, the Uncanny Valley is this sort of, you know, this. You can have machines and people are comfortable with them, and you can have very realistic looking humanoid, you know, robot things, and people are comfortable with them. But if you have this thing that almost looks human but not quite, there's this Uncanny Valley that you can graph, and it's like the appeal of this particular unit is way down, so it makes a valley on a chart.
Yeah, because they plot like how lifelike it is versus how appealing it is.
Yeah. So, you know, just make sure that your high-end military hardware teledildonics units aren't in the Uncanny Valley.
Right.
You know, because it'll totally backfire, and then you'll have to, like, you know, refit them, like, with, like, you know, machine guns or something, and tank treads. And there'll be all these ugly-ass, creepy dolls rolling around on tank treads and, like... like a minigun, just cutting villages down.
I'm thinking of multiple uses for this, because like we could equip these androids with like vaccines and antibiotics. Like we could cure disease in the third world by making sweet love to it.
Yeah, like you get vaccinated for polio if you have sex with this real doll thing that sort of drops in one day. And there's like a private somewhere out in the Western world operating this beautiful looking female doll. This is some like farm boy who signed up, and he's got to put on this like virtual reality suit and goggles, and that's his job all day.
He's administering antiretrovirals.
Yeah, and as soon as the deed is done, you get you know, vaccinated or whatever. It'd be sort of this ironic sexually transmitted, you know, instead of a disease, sexually transmitted cures.
We're turning this shit on its head. We need to get I think this could be a TED Talk.
Well, I saw a TED Talk once about a guy that made like a little contraption that could chill people's like food or whatever or medicines using camel shit. So if they can do that, I'm pretty sure they'll take just about anything. But on a similar but mostly unrelated note, did you see? I guess like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they were doing they did some sort of competition to have people like create like a third world like deployable toilet. Let's create the most efficient. I saw one photo, but I don't know what it was or anything.
Yeah, there are all kinds of weird ideas, like where it would save up the urine and use that to flush the solids. All kinds of goofy shit. It was interesting. But yeah, like it, you know, like you said, like stuff that chills food with camel shit. Like people came up with similar ideas, like powering the toilet with your shit, like stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it sounds goofy and everything, but you know, like in reality, I do enjoy like TED Talks for the most part. Although there's been a few like motivational speaker types and people sort of. There was I think Billy Graham did one or somebody like that, and you know, it's like that. Those sort of TED Talks, I really sort of shake my head at, but for the most part, they're pretty cool. And you know, the camel shit thing, just FYI, was you start a fire with camel shit because it's like probably the only thing you have around your giant like sand hole you live in that can burn. So
Right.
there's this little device that when you heat up like one part of it, it causes a pressure change somewhere else, and it actually cools down like a little compartment. So using a fire, you can cool shit down on the other end of it. So you know, it sounds funny, but it, you know, in reality, is actually a really good idea, and it was a good TED Talk. Much like the ridiculous sounding idea of fuck dolls being parachuted in. Sounds crazy at first, but mark my words.
It'll be the first army of love.
What I don't know anything about military designations, but there'd be this official sounding like, you know, 82nd Airborne Division. You know, instead of that, it would be like the first, like, what's the fuck doll equivalent word for airborne division? Just insert that.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. There would be something great for it, though.
The 82nd fuck doll division.
Well, we would be able to find this out. We'd have to look up the designations for like the you know, like the wings of the Air Force designations for their drones. So that's what we should find out.
And the other thing that, if this ever actually happened, I think would be cool is, like, in the old days, I guess they still do this. They like write a little message on every missile that they launch toward the enemy, and you know, like every one of these units has like a message scrawled on its ass, but like with Sharpie or something by some private or something.
Nice, I like it. Well, then they'll also have to be augmented by you remember those that robotic cheetah thing that I showed you?
Yeah.
That's meant to be an anti-infantry weapon someday too.
Uh-huh.
So basically, if for whatever reason the fuck dolls don't meet with success in the first wave, just robotic cheetahs just like spill out of nowhere and are just like slicing throats and administering poisons.
Well, you know, of course, the interesting thing that could happen is like the fuck dolls sort of, you know, they sort of transform before your eyes into, maybe not full on robotic cheetahs, but they suddenly go from, you know, very pleasant to very gruesome. Like their beautiful, delicate fingers disappear and are replaced by 1940s hand clamps.
See, now I've already thought of a designation for this system: the Siren.
The Siren. Now that's an awesome name. All this stuff too.
It's trademarked.
You know, these Bill Gates, you know, smart toilets for the third world, and the camel shit refrigerator, and, you know, all this stuff. It sounds very Roman, you know, in a way. Like, you know, Jesus Christ, people, like, get your sanitation together, get your shit together.
Literally, yeah.
Like, it's a big problem.
Organize it so that it leaves where you live.
Yes. It's something that I guess doesn't really get thought about a lot, but it's the little things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, sort of like the mosquito being the animal that's, like, killed more people than any other animal. You know, so, like, you don't really think about that. You think of, like, a bear or something, but...
Right.
You know, like, yeah, we gotta get that shit together. But I think, you know, my vote is for first step, fuck dolls. Millions of fuck dolls. And with that, we're gonna need millions of parachutes and millions of operators and millions of gallons of lube.
Well, then,
need lots of lube.
It'll be the first time Astroglide's ever been a military contractor.
Buy your stock now, people.
This is the wave of the future, or the gooey slide of the future.
It's a wave of lube.
That sounds somewhat intimidating. I don't know.
Well, you know, intimidation is part of warfare, so
True.
You know, sort of attack it from every angle, I guess.
That would be the slogan of the fuck doll unit. Attack from every angle.
And also, of course, I still love the idea of I just love the old robot voice. Like even if you made something that looked like a realistic, beautiful woman, it's just totally clunky once it starts operating. Like, make love to me. I am programmed in pleasuring.
Oh, that would kick ass.
Well, you could demoralize the enemy. Like maybe she doesn't talk right away, or maybe it's like the real weaponry is like the love doll thing. Like you make love with it, and then like it won't like leave you alone. Like it keeps calling you. Like it doesn't get like the hint. And like it sort of demoralizes and like takes up all the time of these enemy fighters.
It calls, and when one of your family members answers, it hangs up.
It just keeps leaving messages.
In its robot voice, though, or
well, I mean, if you want to take a different tack, it could be a sexy, like just girly voice or whatever, and it's and who hasn't this really happened to? You meet somebody, you like date them or whatever, and then it doesn't work out, and then like somebody doesn't get the hint. Mm-hmm. And the calls keep coming, and the what,
or you could program it to say weird shit during sex.
Like that line in Fight Club. What was that? Like, I haven't been fucked this hard since elementary school or something.
Yeah. Or yeah, I haven't been fucked like that since 8th grade or something like that. Elementary school would be better, actually.
Well, like I'm just stealing that from Fight Club because that's fucking creepy as shit.
Well, yeah, that's
a little weird. As open as I am about being the bad guy, that's some ballsy line writing. Fight Club writers, whoever you were, but it's hilarious. Like it got the point driven home. So
no shit.
Oh, I had another issue here. Oh. Just as a final little thing I was thinking about, as you know, I think about the zombie apocalypse a lot. Mm-hmm. And, it's sort of a fun metaphor. Like, of course, there's probably not going to be a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Because I don't really see any way that zombies could exist. But, like, there could be some kind of disaster, nuclear or asteroid or, plague or whatever it may be. And, there could be a scenario where it's sort of like a crumbling ruins of society and a few survivors and, the technology is mostly gone and there are battles and struggles and skirmishes and things like that. And I sort of wonder, because you see a lot of, like, or at least I have. I've seen a lot of these like fantasy knives and swords, sort of. Like there's for sale in a lot of catalogs, and like you go to like a flea market or something, and there's
ninja stars.
Yeah, there's always a guy with like samurai swords and like these. There's like dragon swords and
batleths.
Yeah, even that. Like sci-fi crap. Weaponry. Like and obviously like nobody actually does anything with these items, but in the zombie apocalypse, like I sort of wonder like if all that shit wouldn't actually sort of come true. It would be like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and there could be a weird future where there's like some like guy like as a warrior with like a giant sword with like scroll work all over it that was made in China in an industrial civilization. He has no idea where it came from, but
not using some sort of ancient Chinese sword making technique. It was definitely stamped out at a factory.
Right, and I come up with these weird sort of ideas, and they keep me up at night, honestly. I don't know, like the most ridiculous thoughts come into my head. I'm sure I'll mention more in the future, but that was just a thought I had. Like, you find that plausible, right? Like, in the zombie apocalypse, there's going to be like dudes running around, probably douchebags at first, but then later on, you know, like somebody will steal their shit.
Well, yeah, because it'll probably function along some sort of Highlander model, wherein a douchebag who doesn't actually know anything about defending himself or has no skill at any sort of physical skill or speed or agility gets killed, and there could be only one guy who wields a sword competently, yet has no formal training in wielding swords.
Yeah. So, but that's all I had in my mind this week. I have to get back into the lab and do some work, but if you want to close us out.
All right, I can do that.
I was Jason Emerson.
I remain Cole Koenig, and as always, thank you for listening. You can do us a favor by liking us on Facebook, following us on Twitter. We are Bad Guy Labs and at Bad Guy Labs, respectively. And if you're listening to us, you're obviously at our YouTube channel already, which is Bad Guy Labs Channel. If you like us, please subscribe to our channel. Please leave comments. Send us messages, all that stuff. You can email us at badguylabschannel@gmail.com. And a gross oversight that I've committed over the past couple episodes is I haven't mentioned the authors of our intro and our outro music. They are the Griefs. I'll post some links on YouTube to their songs and on Facebook if you want to figure out who they are and listen to more of their music and get a hold of some of it. So again, thanks for listening, and I will see you later.